Good evening, Vigos Court. How are you guys doing? I hope you all had a fantastic holiday season and are ready to get back into the swing of things. I am your judge, Judge Shep. I am joined today by Counselor Q.
What it do? What it do? Well, I was about to say we're starting off week 7, but week 7, 7B? 7B. Yeah.
Week 7, part 2?
Yeah, week 7B.
The sequel, part 2.
And I'm excited because the game today, so we've got Deadheads versus Arctic Wolves.
It is sure to be an exciting match. Deadheads is looking to unseat the thus far undefeated Arctic Wolves.
Yeah, I think, things will be getting rather interesting here, mostly for the fact that if you think about it, if Deadheads wants to really make a run right now and look at the playoffs, they've won 2 in a row, but they need to basically win out, and they are going to be ending their season with demise. So it means that they're going to have to be the ones that, end the Arctic Wolves' perfect season, and Arctic Wolves have shown to be very, very strong on both sides of matchmaking.
Absolutely. Arctic Wolves has consistently had a really good season. I don't think we've really had too many scares with them. So Deadheads is surely in for a fight, but I've got faith in them. I think they've at least got a good chance going.
Yeah, I mean, things will definitely be interesting here, especially seeing as the map that we're on isn't necessarily a typical competitive map, right?
Absolutely not, but it is a fun map. We are going to be going to Thompson House today, folks, with a 7-hook minimum and a 12-hook maximum. Our players are going to have quite a bit to play around with. Of course, we are familiar with Thompson House, and it's kind of weird generation. Sometimes you get all gens in your top side up by the house, and sometimes you actually get a decent generator spread. So we're gonna see how RNG favors who here.
Yeah, I'm also going to be interested to see our some of our killer options here. We know that we're still at the point in the season where most teams are still trying to reserve most of their S tiers for those last couple weeks. But again, Deadheads is in a situation right now where they need to be. They need to be able to win out from here out. So. Yeah, I don't know. Things are going to get really interesting.
Yeah, definitely an uncomfortable position to be in if you are Deadheads. This is a lot of pressure, but some teams do perform really well under pressure. So, it'll be interesting to see. I know, like you said, a lot of people are saving their S tier still, but I don't know if this is really a team you want to bring an S tier out against unless you are super, super confident in the person playing that S tier.
Yeah, and I think especially because it is a map that doesn't really allow the S tiers to typically strive on, right? So I think this is going to be where we're going to see some teams bring in some interesting strategies. I like Thompson House in the fact that it does kind of require the survivors to, for the most part, play a rather safe game, right? You don't really have very many resources on the map other than you've got the house and obviously you got pallets throughout, but the pallets are rather limited.
Yeah, definitely not a super safe map for survivors. You have a huge dead zone kind of in the middle. If you get Cow Tree, you've got a little bit more to work with. If you get the hill instead or the combine, probably gonna have a really bad time. So again, super RNG dependent on who's going to be lucky here or if we're going to have a more even game.
Yeah, and I mean what's going to be interesting too is I feel like both teams' survivors have shown an ability to really make survivors or make the opposing teams killers pay for mistakes. And again, knowing that the teams more than likely aren't going to be bringing the strongest of killers, going to be interesting to see how those killers kind of maintain their composure throughout the trial.
Definitely. It's going to be interesting to see how they handle this. You are right. Both teams do really heavily punish mistakes on the killer's side, but I don't know. Arctic Wolves Their killers are pretty on top of it, so it's gonna be hard for Deadheads is really going to have to like look to see what they can punish, but they have really good survivor play otherwise. Um, it's just really, I think it's really going to come down to who can handle the pressure a little better. And again, who RNG favors a little more.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. We've seen last week we saw, not last week, week 6, we saw some newer killer players, some different killer players for Arctic Wolves.
Yeah. I mean, I think they were trying. I think they were also trying some new like killers that we hadn't seen them play as well, right?
Mhm.
And it's been interesting to see as the Arctic Wolves have really kind of, because I mean, this has kind of been, I want to say like still kind of I want to say the main beginning of like the coming out party for the Arctic Wolves, right? They didn't really have much experience as far as competitive before coming out for Vigos, and we've really seen the team, like a lot of the teams throughout the league, really. I mean, every week we see them, they just make very big leaps and bounds and improvements, which is scary for a team that's sitting undefeated, right?
Absolutely, yeah. You thought that they couldn't get any better, and yet
Here
they
they
prove
are.
us wrong
Yeah.
every week. Here they are. Here they are. Yeah. Again, a lot of pressure on our survivors here for Deadheads, but I have faith. Again.
Yeah. I mean,
I have faith that either way it's going to be a really fun game.
Deadheads have won their last 2. You know, they're on a little bit of a tear, and also they're the couple of their early losses they took were against some of the undefeated teams that we see in the league and some of our top ranked teams, and they played some of those relatively close, right? So even though their record might not reflect as strong of a team as like their performances shows, I think that this will be a relatively close matchup. I'm gonna be excited to see what our two teams bring out, especially again. I really like the fact that we're probably going to be seeing some very diverse killer picks here as well.
Yeah, I think we're going to get a chance to watch some really fun killer gameplay of some of our A-tier killers. I saw somebody say Demo Puppy. I think Demo Puppy works really well on this map because you do have so many dead zones, and that Shred can take care of pallets really quickly, like just immediately. Nemesis is always a good pick for corn maps.
Yes.
So we could get some more fun Nemi gameplay.
I would also say because of how open the middle is, if you can get some chain hunts going with Pinhead, could be a relatively good pick here. And of course, always, I know I bring her up a lot, and I always mention Sensor Rework, but I mean, Plague is I think would also be a relatively, she'd be one of those picks here that would be strong without using like one of your strongest killers, right?
Yeah, I think Plague this season has really shown that she is a force to be reckoned with in comp.
Yeah.
Especially with her rework. She's been a favorite. I know my team, we've already used her up. Like she's been a favorite for us. Yeah, I think Plague would be really fun to see here too. A lot of information, and you know, she's good. She's good. I like her.
Yeah, I think the information being key though, right? Because corn blindness like is a thing, right? So
corn blind pog.
Yeah, so if you can get something to help combat against that, definitely help putting yourself an extra step ahead.
Definitely, you can get a lot of really important early game information when you puke on generators. If you can puke on all of them fast enough, you'll be able to tell who's working where. Or if you puke on key generators outside of we're probably going to see Crypt Intervention at some point because that is just kind of like a given perk you see in comp. So if you puke in your uncorrupt zone, you're probably going to find someone.
Listen, I know that we're on like a 45-second delay, but I refuse to allow my mods to have the slander on my boy Pinhead. All right?
You're sucking shit. Hey, the few times that we have seen Pinhead come out have been not terrible. They've been exciting games to watch.
Which is funny because I feel like one of the general like consensus thoughts of Pinhead is that he tends to struggle against like Swifts, right? Because of the organization aspect versus like when let's say when you're playing in like the public scene, right? The like pub matches, like when you're playing against randoms, like it's much easier to have your way with it versus against Swifts. Whereas in comp, you're obviously always going against Swifts, and we're still seeing Pinhead's doing very, very well.
Yeah, Pinhead's definitely not, I don't think, meant to deal with Swifts, but he doesn't do terribly. I mean, I don't think we've had like horrible performances from Pinhead, but it does look like both of our teams are actually ready. So if you want to slide on over to that spectator spot, we can probably get an answer to our question of who are we going to see first. Pretty dang soon here.
Am down for it. Yo, and also I do see in chat, I agree. If we could petition to get Pinhead some cake though, I do think that I do think that, I mean, if that's the problem is that he has no cake, then we just petition to get him some cake. Oh, I'm not a spectator. But look, I was just wanting to play around. That's all.
You just wanted to help your homies out. You just wanted to help the homies out.
Yeah.
I mean, hey, if we can petition for Pyramid Head to get his cake back.
True.
Probably petition for Pinhead to get a little cake. You know, spread the love. Spread the love. Through booty.
I mean, I feel like that should just be a requirement on, like, just killers in general, right?
Yeah. All killers must have the cake. Behavior, you already know. These people be mad horny. Like,
I mean, they're out here doing laps in the fog all day, day. It only makes sense. You know what I'm saying?
It only makes sense. How are you going to disregard that?
All right. While we load in here, though, let's talk about how our Arctic Wolves here are looking to put some points on the board.
Let's talk about it, you guys. All right. How do our killers earn points? I'm glad you asked. Of course, those hook states are going to be the most important, but you get the most points for the death hook. Progressions, of course, are going to be one hook less. If you sit there and camp, that's all right. Do your thing, but you are going to lose a point for it. Your 7th and 8th progressions are also still going to be worth 1 point each, so that's fine. If you get the 4K, worth an additional 2 points, so kill them all if you can. Get those extra points. Entity kills are going to be worth the corresponding hook state plus the progressions. However, if you let somebody bleed out, please don't do this, because 1, it's horribly boring, and 2, you get no points for it. So don't let people bleed out, all right? 30 points available on the board for our killers to grab today. For more on rules, check !rules in the chat.
And we are dealing with the good old lobby or loading simulator here on behaviors. And hey, but you know what? No forever loading screen. So I'll take that here. All right, looks like we are good to go to load in here. Now let's go ahead and get down to it. Let's take another trip on back into the fog here. Oop.
You guys had a nice Christmas break.
And it is a one of the killers we had talked about, seeing Nemesis coming out here. And I do like this pick. We are going to see, of course, the Corrupt Intervention is going to be something that we're going to see pretty well throughout probably most of our matchups today. You see it a lot really throughout competitive in general, but you are going to see as we do push a survivor off of this gen. No Ruin brought in 3 mystery perks here at this point. Really right now, though, taking chase on what's kind of a split Corrupt, not exactly the best Corrupt you can get, so you're going to really want to get it down quick.
Yeah, not the friendliest Corrupt. We've seen some really weird ones the past couple of weeks.
Yeah, Thompson House, I mean, I would just say the corn maps in general, for some reason, tend to give you the weird spawns more often than not. But there is going to be a early M1 here, about 60 seconds gone now at this point on that Corrupt Intervention. Now going to take chase towards our jungle gym here. We do have a zombie. It does look like only pulling the aggro on that one survivor there could help around the actual backside of this loop if they continue to go around, but it does look like instead our Fang is going to go ahead and take this chase back at the Shack. Shack, of course, being a very strong tile here, but if our killer is able to do their job, should be able to force Shack pallet here.
Yeah, Arya doing a really good job of keeping on top of the survivor, but Fang also doing a really good job of just keeping them really, really busy, managing to avoid that tentacle with a nice little crouch at the pallet.
Yeah, I mean, you talked about it. Really, a really good run here by our Fang. And honestly, got to be feeling a little bit of that pressure. Ooh, but Fat Patricia able to get you a little bit of help with the nice whip to follow it up. 1-2 combo with the down.
Nice. Very, very nice.
And that's huge because that was looking like that was going to be a run that was still going to continue there for a little bit. But there you do get the additional zombie value, and we are going to see that one generator covered up after the completion of our first gen of the trial. That's going to be that deadlock value, but very quickly is going to be a second gen getting done. Wouldn't be surprised if see a third one being really close as well.
Our survivor's doing a really good job of getting a lot of gen pressure down, even through the deadlock. Even with, you know, Fang being on a hook, she did a really good job of buying them enough time to get those 2 generators done. So hopefully her teammates have done as much as they could with that pressure and weren't doubling up on gens there.
Yeah, and Arya doing a really good job now at mutation state 2 here, so now you can at least also break those pallets while you're moving around here. That's kind of that extra benefit. Like we had talked about, right? There's kind of the little lack of those pallets around the map, so now you kind of get that little moving break, which is going to be kind of nice. But a really good chase here by Kashak here over into the main build. Kashak. Anyways, moving over here. It's Kashak. It's Kashak.
Kashak? Okay. I always have a problem with his name, and I don't think that trend will change. I'm so sorry.
But a really good run here, and it does look like, though, across the way, I believe, actually, our zombies got another little bit of value, actually getting a down onto the thing when they were going to get the vaccine itself. And that will, I believe, be hook number 2, thanks to a zombie.
Zombies doing some work. We will see a pallet drop here to get rid of said pesky zombie who was on his way to do some damage like the terrorist he is.
And it is very impressive to see Nemesis coming out here. One of the more off-meta killers, although I do believe as more teams do seem to be spending time on Nemesis, we are seeing them be able to put up a little bit more consistent results. I think those were some scratch marks there going for the save. But now actually we're going to see Arya, I think, kind of playing this safe here, knowing that we do have 3 gens already complete. And it's been a little while since we've seen any other gens complete, so it might not be too long until we see a 4th one getting done. And, you know, we're taking a chase back here. We can hear this generator here, about 50% completion. Oh, nice down.
Very, very quick down by Arya here onto our Megan, I believe.
That is to yes. No. Nia?
Somebody.
Yeah.
Nia.
Not the
I can't
Fang.
read the names. Not the Fang. Somebody who is fresh hook, which is very good for our killer here. You do want to start spreading out those hook states a little more, kind of gain as much traction as you can here while we're kind of in a dead spot of generators being done.
And also worth noting, though, it does look like Arya has a little bit of what you could consider a 3-gen. Not a tight 3-gen, but it is up on the long side of the map, all kind of together here. And of course, you do have the one even on that far side, kind of where that hook is. I would honestly probably leave that hook. The only thing, though, is you do know that that generator over there has quite a bit of pressure as well. Unfortunately, the one survivor that we are taking chase with over here at this jungle gym is the only fully healthy survivor. Oh my goodness, hold this fist. And that, wait a minute, hold on, chat. You know what? We're just going to move past that. Anyways, we're going to go ahead and take this chase here towards the back of the main building here. And now Cookie, actually, this should be a down if our killer is very patient. Probably should be a whip over the pallet here. Ooh, actually nice and patient. Should be a down here this time around.
Yeah, unless we can get a really nice stun.
Yeah, plus 10 wood to the face. Now, that is going to buy yourself a little bit of extra time with the stun animation, but we do have another pallet over here that was already down, now getting broken here. And now just going to be retreating to the corner, making Arya go as far as they can to prolong this chase.
Yeah, Arya also recognizing what's going on here. As that last gen pops, we saw those 2 gens go really quickly on top of each other.
Yeah, and we're also going to see that as soon as that generator was done, we already saw that No Way Out procs across the map, which is very unfortunate because had Arya been able to get this down just a little bit quicker, you would have actually had one more stack to help with that.
Unfortunate, but we do see that haste status effect, so I don't know if that punch came in before or after the gen pop. I think it was after, right?
I think the hit itself actually came in before the gen itself popped. You just weren't able to get the hook in before time, so they don't technically know. But seeing as you've only seen Deadlock so far with the Corrupt Intervention, you can probably assume the paired combo, but they definitely know at this point that NOED is in play. There is going to be the 4th fresh hook, which is, you know, in a lot of other scenes normally big because of the front-loaded hook points. But in this case, keep in mind, really the most important hook is the last hook. And right now, none of our survivors are on Death. Well, there is one that's on Death Hook, but
Yeah, Ping is.
yeah, but that's only that one. So I mean, really, our survivors have done a really good job of preventing points to be earned by the Arctic Wolves here.
I do have a feeling we are probably going to see our survivors understanding the situation they're in and wanting to get as good a start as they can. We're probably going to see them try to find Noed here and maybe save Kashak.
Yeah, I think especially knowing that the fourth save is the one that gets you the most points. I wouldn't be surprised to see them try to make that play, knowing that he has plenty of hang time, no NBA. But instead here, it does look like they're just going to take the 3 out. And it also makes sense because you also lose the points for the progression on the next 2 stages here. So, I mean, still a really good performance from Deadhead survivors here because that's still 3 out.
Absolutely. Deadhead's doing a really good job of coming out and showing that they are not here to mess around. They are here to try and win this game. So not a bad start at all. A 2-point lead to Arctic Wolves. I've seen teams do worse on their first game, so not bad at all. Good for Deadheads.
Yeah, definitely a very strong start. I mean, kind of what you want to do, really, if you think about it, when you come out on the survivor side to start off the matchup, right? You come out, you have a relatively strong performance going into your back-to-back killer set. So definitely, I would say doing what they needed to do. What's going to be interesting, though, is seeing what their killer choices are if they can maintain this momentum.
Absolutely. Definitely going to be interesting to see how they respond to Arctic Wolves, because Arctic Wolves, their survivor squad also is very, very strong. I definitely think Arctic Wolves is one of those rare teams where actually their killers are evenly matched or stronger than their survivors. Usually we see that the survivor squads are usually the stronger parts of the comp teams in Vigos, but I feel like Arctic Wolves are pretty evenly matched across the board. So it'll be interesting to see how Deadheads decides to respond. Again, you don't we've seen people before make the mistake of pulling out really like S tier killers against them, so I don't think that's really the play here. But then you have to figure, okay, well, what's our strong A tiers?
So it does look like, as far as with the updated score here, Deadhead's able to come out on the survivor side and take a 5-point lead here. So, I mean, honestly, a very nice start from Deadheads. Again, knowing that if Deadheads is wanting to make a play at the playoffs, they basically need to go undefeated here for the rest of the season. And, I mean, you're off to a good start so far.
Yeah, they're doing good for themselves so far. But again, Arctic Wolves, they're gonna be pretty tough, especially going into these back-to-back survivor rounds. As killer, you can of course gain more points, so this is the place to maintain a lead if you have one. But we have also seen a trend where sometimes the survivor side is stronger than the killer side. We have seen good killers come out from Deadheads. Kashak has had some really good showings. Cookie has had some really good showings. So,
yeah, Kashak had the one really nasty Huntress game, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yes. Oh my gosh, Machine Gun Huntress. I think that was against Remedy on their first game out.
Yeah, and actually Remedy put up a relatively decent survivor performance regardless of the basically, I mean, I don't want to say like perfect hatchets, but yeah, very, very impressive hatchets from Kashak. By the way, that was up on my YouTube. Shameless plug.
It was a really good video, you guys.
Now, here's going to be the interesting thing, though, because we know that the Arctic Wolves, their survivors are generally very good at rotating and taking hits to prolong some chases, which is something we didn't really see that last round, right? So I'm going to be interested to see if we see that end up being a strategy that ends up kind of working out in the Arctic Wolves' favor, because I feel like that's something that we see from them very often.
I think you're right. We do see that quite often, and if Deadheads has been paying attention, I wonder if they're going to try to bring a killer that will punish that.
Well, if that was the case, I mean, so what would be your thought process of what kind of kill, where's your headland at as far as some killer choices then? Because when you say that, I think of something like maybe twins, but I just don't think this is a very friendly
great.
twins
Well,
map.
I mean, yeah, I don't think it's terrible for twins because again, you don't have a lot of obstacles, and if you can get those out of the way early, not going to be a problem for Victor getting caught under any pallets. But other than
Executioner,
that,
maybe
Executioner. Yeah, Executioner is really good at punishing those body blocks. Huntress, maybe. This isn't like a great map for her because of the corn, of course, but she can punish body blocks pretty quickly, get the M1, and then just use your hatchet and get somebody down. But I don't know after that, because I'm like a bot survivor main, so
I am 100% an entitled survivor made when I'm playing actually in the game. 100%. I'm gonna start working on my game a little bit here, but yeah, I still think though on this map it's just there's so many challenges. I mean, I know when Sheltered Woods was, or, when McMillan was just off the map or off like the board for competitive DBD, we saw Billy play on his home map here of Thompson House and was able to have some good performances. I'm trying to remember where Deadheads is at on some of their killer usage, and Billy is one of them.
Yeah, actually Billy was kind of someone I was thinking about too. I've seen him used on this map before with some success. It is his home map.
Yeah.
I'm always down to see a good Billy. So if Deadheads is hiding one, please. But it does look like both of our teams are ready to go. So if you want to slide on over to that spectator spot, we can find out real quick who Deadheads is. Well, as quickly as the game wants to load.
Real quick. All right, real quick. Sorry. Yeah, well, I mean, real fucking quick.
Relatively.
Yeah,
quick.
Relatively quick.
Relatively quick. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because there is still the whole like loading scenario and everything. Yeah.
Load. Well, they're just giving us time to go over our rules, check our offerings, make sure there are no penalties.
I do gotta say though,
being considerate.
I'm really hoping this next patch though at least fixes the offering bug where sometimes one or two of the same offering like hide out in the bottom of the screen.
In the bottom, yes, please.
Just because if it can get rid of that. I also I'm still praying for the day that we're allowed to get more than one spectator as well.
I thought we could do that, and I was really shocked when I found out we couldn't. I was like, wait.
Yeah. But while Arctic Wolves is looking to make a comeback here, let's talk about how they're looking to put points on the boards as the survivors here.
All right, guys, let's talk about it. How do our Arctic Wolves make up these points on the survivor side? Well, of course, those generators are going to be really important. Your first and second gen are not worth as much as your third and fourth, or even your fifth gen. That's going to be worth 3 points. But what's going to be really, really important for our survivors is getting those escapes. Your first and second escape, of course, are always good, but you really want to get that third and fourth because those are worth 4 and 6 points respectively. So huge amount of points on the table if you can get that 4 out. If you can also escape with 2 or more hook states remaining, so 1 hook or less on that survivor, you get an additional point per survivor who escapes with extra hook states. So again, really important, don't get hooked, get the hell out of there. 26 points available for our survivors to earn. If you want more on rules where you can actually understand what's being said, check exclamation mark rules in chat.
Don't ask me, ask your mama, or use exclamation point rules in chat. That's the rules. Wait.
Please, I can't read, guys. I hope you can.
Look, she only knows it because she said it so many times. But as far as reading the rules,
I don't read the rules, you guys. I've had them read to me and I memorized it from there. I'm actually illiterate. Facts.
Now,
oh gosh. Awkward loading screens.
Yeah, no, yeah. All right, there we go. Speaking of, now we're good to go ahead and load on into it. Let's go ahead and take another trip back into the fog. And this is one of those killers we have talked about. Is she S tier? Is she not S tier? It has been one of the killers that we've seen used very really selectively, very limited during the season thus far, that being the Spirit.
Ooh.
We do see, though, a very early hit here, able to locate a survivor very quick. Not the best corrupt as you do see, but it's not exactly a split corrupt, really just kind of taking more of this one portion of the long side of the map here. Remember this, unfortunately, the standstill mind game doesn't really work with the new directional phasing. However, it does look like Claudette was trying to make some distance and was able to bait out the swing. Nice dead hard. The question is there a pallet back here? No pallet or nothing. There's actually no jungle gym, nothing to play around back here. So it's just going to be Claudette going as far to the corner as they can to make this process as long as possible. Really hoping to see a gen pop, but that would be require 2 survivors on a single gen because there's only been 60 seconds of this trial so far, and we're already on hook number 1.
Yeah, Dre coming out swinging. I think that's just a really good example of using map knowledge to your advantage, because you did see the crows fly in the beginning, which I think alerted him to the presence of the Claudette to get that really quick down there.
And this is going to be big because we do see already finding another survivor. The survivor is going to come back towards Shack. Of course, it is a relatively strong loop that you can work around. I wouldn't be surprised to see our Spirit. Oh, I was actually going to say use this face to actually go all the way back. Able to get the hit, though, before the pallet. And now you do see the save coming in across the way. Keep in mind that does mean very limited objective work is getting done. If Decrepple here, our Disciple? Decrepple? That's got to be Decrepple, right? Is able to... Disciple. Ah, okay, Disciple is able to get this down here relatively quick. You can really continue this map pressure and be leading to a nice, strong mid game here.
Honestly, this Spirit is giving me hope again for Spirit, because this is just absolutely nasty. I was gonna say, I'm pretty sure that was Dre using the Husk to block the survivor in between, like taking advantage of that split second where the Husk is there to kind of trap the survivor in that doorway.
Yeah, we do see, though, another very quick unhook coming in here from our survivors. At this point, we are going to see Dre moving back, trying to find the injured survivor. Actually, it does look like we have located. It is Clover here trying to go up towards the actual tractor. Does look like Dre is going to go around the corner, but it does look like Ace did actually have some very good awareness, trying to use the tractor to their... trying to use the tractor here towards their benefit, but actually I thought that was Ace for some reason, actually right by him there. Not sure if that might be the same thing that Dre saw, but instead this is going to be Clover now getting back here over to Shack. This chase, though, buying some very valuable time for the Arctic Wolves.
Absolutely, we do see our second generator popping here as Clover decides to take our Spirit for a run.
And a very nice job. Now staying back here at Shack. Yeah, you don't have your pallet, but staying back here obviously does limit where Dre has the reach to go to with a single phase, meaning that our survivors have some comfortability to just simply hold M1, hit some great skill checks, progress these gens as far as possible. There is going to be the down onto Clover at this point. Shouldn't have to worry about decisive strike or anything like that, as it has been, I believe, more than 60 seconds. This is going to be hook number 2 over here in the corner here at this point. And with that generator right there, that does break up any sort of 3 gen that our Arctic Wolves could have played themselves into.
Yeah, the Arctic Wolves showing really good map awareness, making sure to get rid of that 3 gen, because 3 gens on Thompson House can be super, super nasty.
Yeah, now we're going to be coming around here, and it does look like we found a survivor relatively quick. Keep in mind, we do hear this generator over here as well. That thing's knocking like a Ford in the middle of December. That thing's just about ready to go. However, if we can get it down over here. Oh, but gets done, stupid. Plus 10 wood to the face applied by Jeff there. And at this point, should be able to use that couple of extra seconds to, yeah, make it over towards this pallet here. Maybe be able to play a nice little mind game instead, though. Nice play by Dre to still be able to get the M1.
Goddamn. I'm having a moment over here about the Spirit.
Are you okay?
I think I don't know. Are these survivors okay? Okay, but like, I'm not okay.
Ooh, nice play though. Able to get the down there. That should be another fresh hook, if I'm not mistaken. Fresh hook number 3. So doing a good job of spreading some pressure as far as in the early game, maybe setting up for a nice hook count here. And also, with this gen getting done, you do know that you have a survivor somewhere around here. But we also have to keep in mind that that gen that we heard that was very far along in the corner when we were in chase with the Jeff isn't even the one that got covered by Deadlock.
So Arctic Wolves doing a really good job of putting down some insane pressure on these generators. Seeing Dre's Spirit and being like, all right, bet. we do see, as that final generator pops, we see our good friend the haste status.
Yeah, and also we are going to see that No Way Out also getting proxed. Well, I thought Dre was trying to go for a grab there. Unfortunately, not going to be able to get the grab to cover up the fact that there is a Noed in play. But we do see that Dre is going to have two very, very close hooks here, which should allow them to continue to put more pressure, especially seeing as No Way Out still has about half of its time left.
Also, you will see that our totem for Noed is literally right behind our hooked survivor, so they're gonna have a hard time maybe getting the saves very easily here. Ooh.
Yeah, there's no pallet here at all.
Mistake. Very, very not good place to be going if you're Clover right now.
Yeah, very tough because unfortunately our survivors have already depleted everything that's around in this corner here. There is going to be the Noed though getting cleansed at this point, but another hook being very, very close, and that is going to be our first elimination here for Dre. Now going to be taking chase, able to find the Claudette, but the Claudette is the only survivor that has not been injured. But I think if you hook the Claudette here, I think the Claudette would be the only fresh hook left, right?
I do believe so. Yes, I don't think we've seen Spider up on the hook yet, so this would be a really good hook for Dre to get. Ooh, a little bit lost there, huh?
Yeah, and got a little lost though, but did a good job of staying relatively close. Tried to bait out the dead hard, or tried to bait out the swing before the dead hard. Really good patience there by Dre though. That is going to be another hook, and this hook is going to be a relatively far from any of our doors here, so not going to be surprised to see, yeah, I was gonna say, our Arctic Wolves go ahead and take the out. That was not the fresh hook though, so it is actually going to be only one hook and one additional progression here. Of course, the progression is going to be on the elimination hook, which normally gives you the extra point, so at least you take that away.
Yeah, absolutely. A really good spirit game.
Yeah, I mean, what overall that would have been what, like eight stages with a couple of progressions, I think.
Yeah, I do believe so. About I can't count, so but that sounds right. Yes,
so
that does sound right.
And I mean,
I do believe.
And you spread you got all fresh hooks too, so I mean.
Yes. Yep. All fresh hooks were taken off the table. We saw some really good gameplay on both sides. But like I said before, I was really doubting Spirit, and this kind of makes me afraid again. So.
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously she has more counterplay to her than she did before, right? But I think the killers who are very deliberate with their actions while also trying to force the mistakes onto other people, like basically now as the spirit, you have to take advantage of the mistakes versus forcing the mistakes. If that makes sense.
Absolutely. I think we've seen with a lot of our killers who've gotten reworks that might be considered more of a nerf. So, you know, shout out poor Deathslinger Rip, shout out to Spirit. It's kind of what I've kind of seen from people who play those characters or those killers consistently is that they're still very strong.
Yeah.
But you do definitely have to learn a completely new way to play them, kind of. Like, you have to employ completely different mind games with Spirit now, but you have different mind games that you can employ. They're just a little bit harder to pull off. Deathslinger, you have to use him a little bit differently as well. But you know,
I mean, you came in and you extended your lead. So, I mean, I feel like absolutely. As a killer, after your survivors come out and give you a little bit of a lead, yeah, would you, I mean, we're always going to want to get like the 4K, you know, at like 3 gens. That's like just the competitive nature. But I feel like when you look at just the fact that you're able to build the lead and knowing that you're going into another killer round here looking to build a lead, I feel like you can say like, job well done, you know?
Absolutely. Personal performances. I mean, of course, like we're always going to judge ourselves based off of our personal performances because that's just kind of how we are. Even as survivors, we will judge ourselves on our personal performance. But this is a team game. Right. So whatever you can do for your team, even as a killer, even though the killer plays that match by themselves, of course, you know, it's just the one killer on the map. That's still playing for your team. So I think even I mean, even if this hadn't been as good of a Spirit game as it was, right. As long as you can maintain that lead, you are still doing your part for your team, personal performances aside. Just going to show that this is a team like effort.
True. I mean, you know, I did hear though that some people have figured out where you can find the I in team, you know. It's right in the middle of the a-hole. Take that one with you, chat. Anyways, chat. So we, in case we have anybody, in case we had anybody who strolled in here, y'all might have probably been able to see which realm on the corn we're in. But let's go ahead and break down our map a little bit here, since we're basically at halftime.
Well, let's talk about it one more time, you guys. Okay, so if you couldn't tell, too much corn, we are on Thompson House, one of our Coldwind farm maps. It is the Deadheads home. We have a 7-hook minimum and a 12-hook maximum. So it could be really, really hook sparse, or you could have all the hooks you want, and you don't have to play as carefully with your hooks. It really just depends. RNG on this map is really important, because again, as I talked about before, you either get like 5 gens all across the top, which I hate Thompson House so much when that happens, or you get like an actually decent gen spread where you've got like, kind of like the circle and then like 1 or 2 in the middle. And again, like RNG, dependent on your resources. Do you get the pallet? Maybe.
I'm trying to think. It's Spider. Yeah, Spider should be the one I'm inviting here. So we'll go ahead and get him invited in. So yeah, we're looking at halftime here, and we had talked about Deadheads basically needing to win out the rest of their schedule if they're looking at wanting to make a play into the playoffs, and how obviously that was going to be a tough task because you're starting off against an undefeated team here. But right now you are at, what is that? That's a really smart. Is that 12-point lead? So with a 12-point lead here.
Is that a 12-point lead?
35-23?
Is it 23? Is that a 3? I thought it was 27. It's 27.
Okay.
27 to 35. I can't read, y'all. I'm like, I was not joking when I said I'm illiterate, but that looked like a 7.
All right. So apparently, even though I need a bigger monitor up here so I can read the score. Okay. But still an 8-point lead though.
That's good. I understand. Yeah.
So
still good.
But you extended the lead from 5 to 8 points on your first killer game, right? So you fought back from the Arctic Wolves, closing in on the lead. You built it out a little bit more. And now here, if you can come out, I really feel like, I don't want to say like the pressure is off you at this point, because obviously you want to keep the pedal down, but like 6, 7 hooks here still put your team in a really good spot heading into Trial 4.
Yeah, I would agree. However, I would not relax at any point here if I'm Deadheads, because right. Arctic Wolves also knows what the conditions are right now. And even though you can gain more points on the killer side, we have seen survivors just outright starve killers of points. And Arctic Wolves being one of those teams who has done that. True. So I mean, Arctic Wolves also knows what's on the table, so you really can't afford to kind of discount them in any way, going into this second survivor round.
And I think
we've seen crazier comebacks also at this point.
Oh, for sure. I mean, 8 points isn't anything to. If I am Arctic Wolves, I am definitely not panicking heading into trial number 3. I think I'm probably having a very fair and honest conversation of like, let's make sure that we are more deliberate in our chases. I feel like they had some good chases there in the mid game, but those first 2 downs were very, very quick, which kind of put Arctic Wolves behind the 8 ball really there in trial number 2. So if you can just avoid the first 2 chases, I feel like that trial goes completely different, right?
Absolutely. I think those really quick downs in the beginning were definitely what hurt them, because then they had to play kind of catch up with that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Arctic Wolves is smart, and they've always shown that they are adaptable. So I think they're probably not going to let that happen a second time. Have feeling in my bones.
And I see it looks like we have got the Arctic Wolves knowing that the situation is what it is, bringing out one of the big guns. We see Laker making the move into that survivor spot there. Laker being a survivor that, we've seen put up some good results through a couple of the different Wolves organizations, as well as a couple other good teams. Definitely has some comp background. Maybe be able to come in and be the one who kind of just takes more of like that shot caller position, right?
I would be a little bit worried. I mean, I'm, again, relatively new to comp, but even I have heard about them, so that means something. That means something. I have no idea who anyone is usually, so I'm like, oh, that's nice, but I've actually heard about them, so I'm like, wow, okay. Also, guys, I haven't been talking about it because I'm a potato and I forgot, but if you have any questions for our teams, we now have a way for you to ask them. We have a suggestion box down below. If you scroll on down on our Twitch page, wow, I am super potato today. We do have a suggestion box, so if you guys have any questions for our teams, for a specific player, go ahead, drop those questions below, and you may get to hear the answers from the teams themselves, the answer to your question. Anyway, go ahead and ask those questions down below, and we will do our best to get them asked. Just depends on who wins and comes into our interview room, but you know, again, if you have any questions, feel free to ask them below. Or if they're ones that like are just general game questions, you can also feel free to ask us. We'll answer them. We just probably won't answer them at the end. But
true,
yeah, check it out.
True. And it does look like if it's if chat is giving us the scoop here correctly, it actually looks like the Laker move is because of an unfortunate internet issue. Of course, this is why it's good to have, you know, subs and people at the ready there. So Laker able to just move in pretty quickly and I'm sure just basically fill in at that spot. So going to see now, that does make me interested. Like obviously, you know, Laker, you know, we talked about as a name that we've seen. Oh, all right. Well, Clover's back. So Clover's internet's back up and running. So we're just going to say, forget everything we just talked about for the last 3 minutes, and we're just going to move on.
Yeah, just Thanos up all of that. But, I mean, Clover did really well last round, so really excited to see them be able to come back on in. And again, really, really excited. We see Clover, I think, consistently on the Survivor side, so I think it's probably nice to be able to keep their main Survivor lineup kind of together here. I'm sure they're probably the most comfortable playing with each other, and that can really do a lot for a team on the Survivor side, having that like communication with one another. So really glad that Clover could make it back on in. Woo.
Yeah, I mean, especially if like this is their like normal like starter lineup, right? Because we've seen, I mean, I can definitely say in the past that we've seen teams who will make some roster changes and put some teams together that you're like, oh, well, this like, man, look at this roster. It's got all these great players on it, but like just the chemistry isn't there. So even though maybe like you look at it and like maybe think, oh, well, Lakers are a really good player. If the chemistry isn't there, like obviously that makes sense. Clover's internet jumps right back up. And you're like, oh, you know what though? Let's go ahead and just make that swap right back.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, I definitely think chemistry is really, really important. Again, like you said, we've seen some teams where we're like, wow, they're really stacked. And then we see the gameplay and we're like, what happened here?
Yeah.
And it's because communication on that Survivor side is going to be really, really important. The only thing that makes a Swift strong is the comms. So if your comms aren't on point, if you don't have the chemistry to have good comms and understand what's going on with your, like, you know, to be on the same page as your teammates, it's going to hurt you a lot. It does sound like both teams are ready, though. Are you ready?
All right, I'm ready. We'll go ahead and switch on over. Tell them to have good luck, have fun. Yeah, I'm excited here because, I mean, you talked about 8 points. Definitely doable. This game isn't out of reach one way or another yet. And if you can come out and even if you don't take the lead here, knowing that the killer can get more points, you know, even if you're looking at like a 3-point deficit heading into trial number 4, knowing that you're going into the killer set, you're still in a good spot. So,
absolutely. You know what I'm kind of feeling in my bones, though?
What's that?
I'm feeling, because Arctic Wolves did this to us last time, that we have to go into overtime again. I don't know why. I just have a feeling in my bones. I have a feeling.
While we're loading here, let's talk about some of our rules and what's banned and things like that while we load here.
Let's talk about it. All right, guys. So we obviously have some limitations on what each team can do within the trial for balancing purposes. Yellow items and add-ons and below are what's allowed. You can only have one of each perk and item, except for BT. You can have 2 of those on the Survivor side. We want you to save your friends and keep the game going, you know. There are also some banned perks. So what you're not going to see is Built to Last, Prove Thyself, or Starstruck. You won't see those. Or Haunted Ground, Lethal Pursuer, no boons, and no Clairvoyance. Sorry, Michaela, and also Jonah now. Killers used are limited to twice a season, so you won't see all nurses all season long. Thank goodness. Survivors are also limited, however. You cannot have 2 of the same character on one team, so sorry, no 4 Dwights, 1 Locker. Violations are subject to penalties. For more on those rules, or if you want to see what our penalties are, and you don't want to wait until the next game, check exclamation mark rules in chat.
All right, and I hate to cut you off very quickly, but we actually got loaded very fast, and we've got Kashak. No, it's Kashak. Here in Chase here, actually, we see the Blight coming out here. I feel like this kind of almost, well, I shouldn't say kind of almost, really shows you how serious Deadheads is taking this game, knowing that they need to bring out the Blight here on a map that really, I would say, isn't necessarily the strongest for Blight, but he is obviously still like one of the best killers in the game.
Absolutely. Blight is a really strong, of course, always a really strong killer pick, but I'm a little worried actually because I have seen Blight played against Arctic Wolves before, and it was not a good time. So a little concerned, but I have faith in Kashak. He has proved that he is a very strong killer before, so yeah, it's a little concern.
It's that interesting dynamic that I feel like comes out, especially in our league play here in Vigo's court, because it's not like we're in a lot of tournaments where you can still see your usual 5-6 killers. Ooh, really nice tracking there by Intimidator there to actually avoid the swing. But when we do see the S tiers come out, since teams, especially like the Arctic Wolves who are part of the Wolfpack Foundation, right? Since they're so used to playing against the S tiers, they generally have a lot stronger and more consistent strategies against the S tiers versus some of the lesser used killers. But we do see here, we had talked about the Arctic Wolves do usually do a very good job of moving in to take those hits. We do see a hit being taken, but not being able to make the distance, and actually 2 back-to-back hits taken by Clover, and that is going to be a down, but we have already lost 3 generators. The Arctic Wolves just pounding those things out.
Showing they are here to play this game as they just destroy those gens, even with like 2 survivors kind of being in chase at one point.
Yeah, that's it's something that's always interesting. I feel like that's one thing that I talk about, or I feel like I notice a lot when watching some of the best teams, is it's the teams who can stay consistent, gets done stupid, who can keep you busy with 2 survivors, means that you're able to actually be very efficient with the other 2 because the chase takes longer. Even though it doesn't make sense, you would think 3 to 2 versus, 3 people all working on the gens, but it's just the way it seems to consistently work out. We do see here, though, Kashak now moving and basically just staying around this hook here and basically just trying to go for the confirmation. Not sure that's the move here, to be perfectly honest, knowing that the Arctic Wolves have been so very good about splitting the pressure on the objective.
Absolutely, we talked about it before. Arctic Wolves, a lot of Survivor squads, actually, I think both of these Survivor squads in particular, are really good at punishing mistakes, and I think this is a mistake that we are going to see punished. Coming back to, of course, confirm the second state at this point because you are so close to it. And we do see someone come in to try to get the save, but unfortunately they won't be able to get it in time to avoid second stage, so I think that was just a little bit late on trying to get that.
Yeah, I think the hope was you were going to be able to maybe just get Kashak there to still take the M1, knowing that they were so close to a second stage. So honestly, very good job by Kashak there to show the patience to force the Claudette to need to basically leave the hook, afraid of the grab, which then also allowed you to take this chase with Spider here. Now Spider being injured, you have another survivor back at Shaq here. Honestly, you've got a lot of map awareness, but I don't know if that's really going to matter, as we do see our objective being from Arctic Wolves just really getting slammed out.
Yeah, and we will see that unhook come across on Clover with our Blight. Not really close enough to do anything about. Oh, never mind. I lied. Close enough to do enough, I guess. Ooh.
Yeah, able to close the distance there. I think part of what Kashak was trying to do was just make sure that you're staying close, but not allowing the borrowed time hit. But what we see that allows is enough time for a 5th gen to be complete, and the doors are already being procced with that No Way Out. Only 1 stack of No Way Out, meaning you're getting very minimal pressure here. We do, of course, see that haste status. We also see that we're over here by that totem, but I mean, in just a couple of seconds, and by a couple of seconds, I mean right now our survivors can already start working on those doors.
Yeah, unfortunately, not enough hook states to really get any value out of that No Way Out. So it is going to be dependent on them not knowing that this is going to be a no-ed swing coming in until it's not. Wait, is that not no-ed? Am I wrong?
I'm confused. Does it not work on a rush hit?
Wait, I forgot. Blight Rushes are considered an M2. In this one instance, they are considered an M2. So Blight Rushes actually don't trigger no-ed.
But it just did there. Oh, he was 1 shot down.
No,
he was already
injured.
hurt.
He was already injured. Yeah, he was already injured.
Okay.
So our survivors actually don't know that no-ed is on the table because those were both Blight Rush hits.
Well, it would still give him the. Oh, what it give? No, the first one down over here was no.
If all those hits were Blight off of Blight Rushes, they wouldn't know.
Huh.
Yeah.
We do see, though, now getting the hit onto Spider back here. At this point, though, the doors are open, and this is going to be Spider here in this back corner. Won't be surprised to see Arctic Wolf just go ahead and take the 3. Yeah, go and take the 3 out right there, especially because the no-ed totem's right there.
Yeah, gonna go ahead and take that 3 out if they weren't aware of the no-ed before. Still a really smart move to make. And that is a fresh hook for Kashak, so that's actually pretty good. And we do see, just why do we always get really unfortunate hatch spawns? All the time, all the time. Yeah, sorry guys, I did forget that Blight Rush is actually an M2 attack. Because I know in certain scenarios it actually counts as an M1, I think. So I was very confused about that. But yeah, no, that was an M2 off the Blight Rush, so we wouldn't have seen that no-ed taking any effect.
Interesting. And now with that, though, worth noting that we are now at a, as long as our score is correct, at a tie game going into trial number 4. I mean, we expected this thing to be close, and it doesn't get any closer than it being a tie game going into trial 4.
Stress. Anyway, yeah. You know, I really like that we very often see games be close like I mean, not exactly like this. I don't think we've had very many games that are tied at game 3, much less game 4. So, very excited to see Deadheads knowing exactly what they need to do if they want to stay in the running for a post-season run, and doing their best to kind of like try to catch up with that or keep up with that. But Arctic Wolves, like, they have a record to defend, and they are showing that they are going to do their best to defend it.
Yeah, and I mean, things could get interesting here. I mean, what, you could still technically have a tie at, what is it? Is it just a 6 hook 2K? Is that right?
I'm trying to do like the math in my head. I think so. I'm not very good at math, but I think so.
But I mean, worth noting that Deadhead survivors took a 5-point lead in trial number 1. So I mean, it's not like they're coming out after struggling against Arctic Wolf's killer the first time they saw them, right? Like, you kind of have that, honestly, sitting in the back of your head, knowing that you had a pretty decent performance against, I mean, a relatively strong killer. I would say that in the Nemesis round, I don't feel like the Nemesis made, like, I can't really think off the top of my head, like, big mistakes that caused to, like, lots of lost time. I feel like Deadheads just had a very good performance on the survivor side.
Yeah, and that's even with someone getting caught out by a zombie in the corn.
Well, you had the one with the back-to-back hits. Remember the hit before the whip? And then you had the one that actually, just got downed with the hit. So, I mean, really, if you think about it, 2 unfortunate downs kind of combined, and you still had a relatively strong performance. So if I'm Deadheads, I think I'm still feeling pretty good right now.
Absolutely. Definitely a good position to be sitting in going into this final round where you are surviving once again when you already had a pretty good survivor performance. Like, even with making, like, I don't know if I'd necessarily call those mistakes, because I think we all just get got by the zombies sometimes.
True.
POV only helps so much, you know?
Definitely me.
But yeah, I forgot what I was gonna say, but yes, Deadheads probably feeling pretty not comfortable. This is an uncomfortable position to be in, especially against a team like Arctic Wolves. But maybe able to feel a little bit confident knowing that they have had a really strong survivor performance. Not just today, but in the past, they've had really strong survivor performances, and they did really well against the Nemesis. So I would be a little cautious, knowing that Arctic Wolves could pull out the big guns here and, like, I don't know, potentially try to wreck your world. But you don't have to be nervous, I guess. Or not you don't have to be unconfident in yourselves here at this point if you're Deadheads.
So if you're Arctic Wolves, who do you think you bring out here? Because I feel like what we saw last game is something that gets talked about a lot when we're on not typical comp maps. When you bring out S tier killers, sometimes you still bring them out and you just don't get the worth out. I would say you don't really get what you would like to get the worth out of them. What's a killer? What's the killer's options do you think we're going to be seeing from Arctic Wolves here?
So what you really want to do on the killer side, right, is get more than a 6-hook 2K.
Mm-hmm.
So you want a killer who can easily gain those hook states without wasting a lot of time. Honestly, if you have a really strong Pyramid Head, maybe utilize Pyramid Head and his cages. Help kind of minimize the time you have to waste. Yeah, work around your unhooking perks. Also, save a little bit of time instead of having to pick up and walk all the way to a hook. You just cage. I think is an opinion of what could be good here. Again, I'm like bot survivor.
Listen, you can have an opinion. It doesn't mean that it's right. I just want you to throw an opinion at me.
I don't want to throw an opinion. I'm gonna sound stupid. I do, but honestly, I do think Pyramid Head might be a really good pick if you have a really strong Pyramid Head here. Also, if you want true speed, if you have a really good Billy, again, please, Billy gods, if you're out there, I think Billy could be a really good pick here. Yeah, it does seem like both teams are ready, so we can find out pretty quickly here. I want to know who you think they're going to bring, because I feel like I've been talking a lot about who I think they're going to bring, and I'm like, I know nothing.
So I still think here is where you... I think here is where we will probably see a... if they haven't... I'm trying to remember if they've used their Billy or not up. I've also seen in the chat where Twins has been brought up. But keep in mind, I know for a fact that they've already used Twins once, and knowing that Twins is a stronger performer, at least can be a stronger performer, and when Solar Blazer brought out the Twins had a very strong performance, and knowing that this is not Solar Blazer coming out here, I'm not sure if I'm confident in thinking that it's a Twins play here.
Yeah, I don't think this is like the best map for Twins that Arctic Wolves is going to be on, so they might want to save that for a more favorable map. We do see all of our offerings, though. Good job, guys. I don't have to give you any penalties.
Yeah, and last round we talked about kind of some of our rules and what we have as far as some banned perks. Let's talk about what happens, though, if any of those rules are broken.
Let's talk about it, you guys. All right, so penalties. What happens? Glad you asked. Matches with penalties can be played out, restarted, or both. Depends on how far you are into the match. But what is considered a penalty? Well, bringing any of the things we talked about last time, any of the banned perks, having two of the same survivor is a penalty. You know, that is a -5 points. You could restart that if you really wanted to, if it's like really that detrimental to the game. A wrong map, however, is -5 points and an auto restart. Harassing the ref, bringing players out on the roster, technical fouls, please don't do any of that. That is -10 points per offense. You don't get to restart either. Please don't harass our refs, guys, please. Using an exhausted killer is also a -10 points and an auto restart. And delaying the game for is -1 point past the first 5 minutes for every minute that you delay. -1 point. So don't delay. For more on rules, please check exclamation mark rules in chat. You can probably comprehend it better than I can like read it to you. But exclamation mark rules is where you can find our complete rule set if you've missed anything up until this point as well.
All right, it looks like just in time here to load in to our next trial. So let's take another trip back into the fog, this time with Spider coming out. And we are going to see the Blight brought out here. Interesting
Blight
pick.
for Blight, I see.
Seeing the Blight for Blight, especially after seeing the Blight last round struggle. Interesting to see the Blight pick here, but we are going to see a early M1 on to Cookie here. Cookie actually being very, I think, smart there. I think a lot of other comp players probably would have thrown that pallet early, but actually leaving a very valuable resource up there. Now the question, though, is Cookie going to be able to continue this chase too much longer, taking chase towards this middle area with the actual jungle gym itself, and now kind of still taking the chase, I would say, in the corrupt portion, but God, you do see kind of a split. I don't want to say a split corrupt, but just kind of along the one side, really.
Yeah, not the worst corrupt I've ever seen, but still kind of awkward. Again, RNG can be super unforgiving to either side or both sides, but we will see that first. Really, really quick down, especially after seeing Blight go flying off that hill.
And we are going to see, you mentioned the fast down. We did see also one survivor around here. We see some scratch marks. It does look like Spider's going to double back just to make sure we don't have anybody already around the hook. Also worth noting, you know, sometimes we see with Blight, we see the double speed add-on. Instead here we see the Blighted Crow with that compound add-on, so you can get the aura value there as well. Trying to go for the 99, but we are going to see there with that pop goes the Weasel is going to cause a 25% instant regression, meaning the gen that probably has the most progress just got knocked back some more. Nice body block.
See, unfortunately, yeah, the body block to deny the window vault, which they probably could have gotten if they had played that a little neater on the survivor side, but oh well. Looks like you're going to go up on the hook, unfortunately.
And it does look like, or it doesn't say look, but it sounds like the generator upstairs in the actual Thompson house itself is pretty well far progressed. I'm guessing that's going to be Spider just allowing that to be sacrificed here. I mean, you still have a couple of gens that you can link together here on the top side of the map, especially seeing as you are Blight. You do have the Blighted Crow, so you do still have that little bit of the extra speed there. Of course, also the extra aura reading from the compound. So still a really good setup here. And also we're going to see this generator right here is blocked from that deadlock as well.
I do like that our survivors went ahead and just popped that generator like right above the Blight's head. They're like, all right, well, we're just going to finish this real quick. Thanks.
And I like this play here by Spider. Went ahead and opened up the building. Now you are going to... Ooh, thought you could have played that a little bit more patient and forced the second stage. But you are going to get the down. Going to get the trade. I am not going to be surprised to see Spider go ahead and continue this chase. Knowing that you probably have borrowed time instead. Just going to come back and make sure that you do indeed get the 1-for-1 here. I do believe that is actually... Is that a second hook on Dre here? No, that's a fresh hook on Dre.
No, I was going to say, I think this is only our third hook of the game, and I think Spider making a good call to just go ahead and hook, because we are still at 4 generators, so like really no pressure to chase for that second down as well.
Now we are going to see here, it looks like that was a possible deliverance across the way. We do see that broken status next to Dre. We will make sure as the time progresses that wasn't a renewal, but it is indeed a deliverance. I think at this point the renewal would have kicked in. So that does mean definitely a deliverance across the way. Does mean that nobody had to come in, meaning that our survivors were able to just basically sit on the gens, do the easy thing, holding M1, hitting some skill checks. But now we are going to see where Spider does get some nice value from that. Man, where's Vader at when we get these awesome games with some deadlock value so we can rub it in his face?
Oh, poor Vader, don't bully him. But yeah, we will see Deadlock doing some work for Spider, letting him know where our most progressed generators. Of course, we have seen some survivors play really smart about it, and they'll 99 a gen to be deadlocked, kind of be their like sacrificial gen. I don't think that's really the case here, and we are going to see someone...
That was
Finished
Kashak
the
actually,
field?
yeah, finishing the self-heal. So I'm guessing was probably getting some resilience value there on that gen, if I had to guess. But they are able to get the full heal in before taking that M1 here. Do keep in mind, we haven't really taken any chase back in this corner of the map. So we do have a decent amount of resources back here, especially the stronger palette here. I believe also the jungle gym in the back left, or sorry, the top left, yeah, still has there. And I think also in the full hay area, you also have a pallet left as well. So honestly, Kashak has a lot at their disposal right now.
Yeah, Kashak picked a good place. Ooh, trying to heal in that corner and not quite able to get it. Seeing some really nice red stain manipulation from Spider to get that down before Kashak can get through the window.
Yeah, and unfortunately, that is going to result into the down for Kashak here. That is going to be hook number 2 for Kashak. Also worth noting that we do still have a potential 3 gen on the bottom side of the map here. You can combine this middle gen here, which you can see is actually still regressing from the last pop kick. Which means that if that's the gen that has the most progress, more than likely both gens backed by Shaq have very minimal progress as well. So Spider, honestly, in a very good position, even with 3 gens already complete. Nice slide there.
My goodness, that was really, really lovely.
And now here you are going to be taking this chase. This is kind of interesting to see the survivor now moving almost back towards that 3 gen area. I guess at least you're allowing the save to come in here. Now moving towards this more stronger palette. This is going to be a quick break though, thanks to the Blight's ability to do that with that M2 into the M1. And now at this point, as long as you can show some patience, is going to be another down onto Cookie. Also keep in mind, we already had a hook back here on this top left portion of the map. We could still have 2 survivors from Deadheads back in this corner, especially seeing that the reset onto Kashak did just come back, and we do see some scratch marks back here as well.
With that reset coming in, Kashak did have the med kit, I will note, so it could have just been one survivor back there, that being Kashak healing, but we do find our Fang back in this corner. A really nice slide off of the building, but for not too much. We do see, I think that is our 3 gen being broken.
Yep.
With that generator being complete.
Yeah, it does look like actually the deadlock is now going to cover up the generator in the corner by the hook, which is kind of interesting. Not too surprising though, seeing as the last generator that was covered up by deadlock was still regressing. But that should let Spider know that you have a little bit of time. But of course, with all 4 survivors still being left in the trial here, that does mean the chances of the survivors here doubling up on the gens could be relatively high. Definitely not surprised to see Spider breaking chase here. Now heading towards the gen that did show the most progress, but you can hear not too much progress on it. So really at this point, you need to get into a chase and get it down.
Absolutely. This is about the time where Spider's looking to want to get an elimination or two. I think we do have a good amount of hook states on the board though, so he's not too far off from being able to get that elimination.
Yeah, and I believe we have at least 1 survivor, if I'm not mistaken, who is ready to be eliminated. At least I believe Kashak is. I believe this should be hook number 2 on a Cookie as well, which is pretty big here. You know, we see a lot of hook states thus far at this point. Oh, that's actually an elimination here. That is now hook state number 8 thus far. And with the door now getting triggered with the no way out, that is a full 60 seconds thanks to the 4 stacks there. Oh, get stunned, stupid. Ooh. That is going to build a little bit of time there. However, I believe if Deadheads wants to win here, they cannot allow another hook, and they need to get all 3 remaining survivors out.
I'm trying to do the math. Yeah, they would need to get everybody out here.
Because I believe the next hook would allow the point swing to be where it would be still in Arctic Wolf's favor slightly, which is tough because we still have about 15 seconds left on that no way out. All 3 survivors being injured as well. Yeah, really tough here. And you've also used a lot of your resources over on this portion of the map there. That is going to be a down onto Harley. And if my math is correct, I do believe this hook here does indeed wrap up the game. Of course, we're still going to play the trial out. But I do believe that should guarantee it. Yeah, especially because that takes away the last escape, or not the last, but the third escape there. So now you can only get the 3 escape points. We do see almost able to get this door open, but not quite yet. And it is the Felix, so not enough charges left in the med kit. And at this point, it's just going to be Spider wrapping things up, and might be a 4K depending on where Dre is at this point, because we do see the down onto Kashak here, and that will be an elimination on Kashak as well.
Unfortunately for Kashak, that will be his hook out. And yeah, definitely Deadheads needed to get all 3 survivors out there, because that would have been 7 points for the escapes alone. And that's what they needed to tie this game out. So it does look like we will see this door be opened by Dre and taking the 1 out. Oof. Actually, not this door that was worked on. The other door is what we saw. Oh, it's a nice slideshow of the bricks.
That's a very, very, very strong performance from a Blight on what I would say is typically not the strongest of maps for a Blight. I mean, of course, I mean, it's still Blight, right? Like, still possibly, arguably the strongest killer in the game, but it's not typically a strong map for him, and still able to come out, get that many hook states. I mean, really good performance, honestly.
Absolutely. Not really a favorable map, like you said, because there's just huge swatches of map where you have nothing to bounce off of, so you kind of just have to like walk everywhere. But you know, it goes to show, if you are smart about how you play, you can do just about anything you want to.
Yeah, and if I have to think about what really sealed the deal there, when you think about it, is the fact that you were able to, as the killer, as the Blight there, you're able to force the second stage onto Harley, which might have been just enough to buy the team the extra time in the end game, right? Because then you're talking about being able to allow 1 last hook in the end game, which means you have a little bit more strategy. Maybe you can go for some resets and things. But I mean, just really a good job there by our Blight player there to keep pedal down to the metal from the word go.
Absolutely. Spider there understood exactly what the win condition was, and they went for it. Came a little close there. But yeah, definitely did a really good job of understanding what needed to be done to secure the win for Arctic Wolves. But Deadheads put up a really good fight. They did really, really well.
Yeah, you know, it's kind of tough thinking about it, because I feel like when you look at Deadhead's like schedule and what they've been able to do, they've just, I mean, they unfortunately started off the season with Demise and Demise. And then I believe both the Wrecking Crew and IA games were like super, super close. And then we see here at this point, you're taking, I mean, arguably the best team in the league. I mean, they're tied with 2 other teams for the best record, right? You take them the distance, and it required them bringing out an S-tier killer. So, I mean, I feel like that's a lot of things to be able to take home and kind of still count as like some like small W's, you know what I mean?
Yeah, like personal wins.
Yeah.
And I do want to say, like, again, throughout the season, I feel like looking at win-loss records is not fair, speaking to the abilities of all of our teams, because a lot of our games have been so close. We've seen wins by 1 or 2 points, just like barely scraping out the W for some of our teams. So like, really good job from everyone involved in this to put up really good games. And I think you guys, like, if you haven't been here for those games, you are really missing out, because looking at the records, you are deprived of the absolutely fantastic performances we have seen from teams who may not have taken home the W from that game.
Yeah, and I feel like it speaks a lot to what we're honestly kind of seeing across the board in competitive DBD, which is just, I feel like we're seeing the gap close. I mean, we're even seeing it like at the top teams, right? I feel like if you look back a year ago, there's like 4 teams that you could name that were like almost consistently in the semifinals of almost like every big tournament, you know what I mean? Whereas now we're seeing that changing, and even like within Vigo's court, like even though we have a couple teams who are still undefeated, like they're having to fight tooth and nail every week to keep that undefeated streak going.
Yep, absolutely. And I do want to say we've seen a lot of progress from all of our teams thus far. So everyone is really putting in the work to play the best that they can. And I know I really appreciate it. I know you really appreciate it because it makes our jobs fun, but also it's just good gameplay. And I love to see that everyone is really hungry to be here and do well.
Yeah, and and it's so that is going to be so. Just to keep in mind, chat, if you're wanting to keep up on like your schedule as far as what we have, obviously one with the Discord is a good place to keep in look for that, but also make sure you're pressing the follow button down there in that bottom right hand corner. Turn the notifications on, that way you can see whenever we go live. Because we do generally have games pretty well spread out from Wednesday through Saturday. So most nights, Saturday during the day, if you're looking for competitive DBD, you can usually find it here while we're in season. This week's a little bit different because we did split up week 7 into 2 separate weeks. So we have had only a couple games last week, only a couple of games this week because it's like 1 week together. But otherwise, usually you can find us a couple nights a week. So make sure you're kind of keeping up to date as far as what our schedule's looking like.
Also, don't forget, we have social media. We are Vigos Court on literally everything. So if you prefer other social media to keep up with what's going on, follow us on our social media, on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter. We are also Vigos Court on YouTube if you want to catch games that you may have missed or watch our shorts. Hello, I am our social media's manager. Please help me out.
Shorts are well, especially because I feel like the last couple of days, YouTube Shorts has been kind of weird compared to what I was seeing like the week before, even on my page, which is kind of weird. But yeah, definitely make sure you're following. Whenever you see the shorts pop up, like, comment, share, all the things. But I do believe we have got somebody moving in here for our interrogation room.
Looks like we have a spider in the house.
Hello.
Hello. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, especially after that Blight match.
Yeah, that was a fantastic Blight game.
Thank you.
So was the Blight call like already predetermined, or was that kind of something because of the fact that y'all were tied up going into trial 4, y'all wanted to go with like a stronger killer there?
It was predetermined. For our first killer match, we wanted a nemesis, and based on how we do for the first killer match and then the survivor matches, we wanted to see if we needed to pull out Blight. We were already planning to, but we needed it at the end. So yeah, it was predetermined.
Did you play in the survivor match where Deadheads played the Blight? And if you did that make you feel any sort of way about bringing out a Blight in that 4th match?
I did play in the match. I was called it. I was the one that got hit with the no-ed. But
no.
Yeah, but in a way, it kind of felt like it's maybe I'm showing that I'm one-upping them by bringing out Blight, even though I already planned it out too. So that's what I had going on my head. But like, it was nothing like that. I was like, well, they brought out Blight. I'm already bringing out Blight. Let's see how we do.
Now, did it have you worried at all seeing how strong your survivors were able to perform against a Blight on the same map, knowing that was what you were heading into in Trial 4?
Yeah, it gave me some confidence, definitely, because I've been practicing with my team with Blight, and I was able to do pretty well in those practices, and seeing the performance today, and kind of gave me a confidence boost going into the last match. So yeah, definitely.
Very reasonable.
Well, how is there at this point? You guys have kept the streak alive, still undefeated,
still strong. Yes.
Is there 1 week looking ahead on the schedule that you guys like have highlighted at this point, or are you guys just basically taking it week by week?
I would say a little bit of both, because like, I guess I could tell you, like, the teams we're kind of really preparing for is Demise and Demise. We've seen the performances, and those are probably going to be the toughest one, if not very hard.
I would agree.
But as we keep going through, it's like, hey, just keep our practice, make sure we're doing this day by day, because if we get too far ahead, we might, like almost what happened today, might almost lose a match.
Right.
So, yeah, we have some thoughts about what's forward, but we're still kind of keeping it day by day.
Well, I'm sure at least it must feel a little bit better knowing that when you do face both Demise and Demise, that you guys are at home, right?
Yeah, we have the home field advantage, especially with our, I would say, like, quirky map that we have.
Mm-hmm.
Not many, I would say not many, like, teams usually practice it, so definitely we have an advantage of that.
I would agree.
So, yeah. And we also are doing our research to see what killers they have left, so we're trying to plan ahead, too. So, but
Very
home
smart.
being home field is really great at that point.
Absolutely. And do you have anything you would like to say to your competitors today, to Deadheads, to the fans of Vigos, or to the fans of Arctic Wolves?
Thank you for watching today's match. Always support your team that you always think you're supporting. GG's Deadhead, it was a very fun and close match. You great killers. And yeah, I'll see you next time.
Fantastic. Well, I do believe that wraps us up as far as for tonight, but we are talking about it. That does not wrap up week 7 for us just quite yet. We are going to be back tomorrow at both 3 p.m. and 9 p.m. Eastern time. So not the same time we were here today, chat, but 3 p.m. Eastern and 9 p.m. Both should be some really good matchups. Definitely make sure that that's going to be something that y'all are going to not want to miss, I would say, for sure.
Absolutely. And I will say it before I forget to, but we do see Arctic Wolves convicted of murder. Good thing here at Vigos Court. And yeah, don't forget, guys, we do have 2 more games tomorrow to finish out week 7, and then we will be going back into our regularly scheduled format of 6 games a week. So
yes. And yeah, so we'll be back tomorrow, chat. Don't forget to stick around for the raid. It's our chance to kind of show everyone that the competitive DBD community is dope. And we will catch y'all tomorrow, all right? Much love. Peace.
be safe with it, guys. Bye.